with the risk-benefit assessment, you're weighing up the risks, the safety of it. Is it safe? And they had only 2 months of safety data from the Pfizer trial. And then the benefit. And the benefit, although we were told it was 95% effective, that is the relative risk reduction, and the absolute risk reduction was 0.84%, and that is the number that should have been explained to the population of New Zealand. So the efficacy that they were saying was 95% was based on the outcome of just 170 patients out of the 44,000 patients in the clinical trial. So 95% efficacy is a true number, but it's a relative risk reduction, and it's a misleading number, and MedSafe was aware that the efficacy was not 95%.
And they identified, you're quite correct, they identified that the clinical trial was not powered to assess transmission, and it became fairly evident very quickly that it didn't stop transmission, it didn't stop people getting COVID anyway, and that was predictable from first principles of immunology and vaccinology, actually.
I remember hearing first up about relative versus absolute risk 2 years ago now. I nearly fell off my chair when I realized what that meant. The two are worlds away from each other, aren't they? Anyway, sorry, comments on that.
I won't get into the absolute risk reduction versus the relative risk reduction. I think my question around that is, where on earth was the data to back up these statements of safe and effective that was repeated over and over again in a lockstep international approach? I mean, all I was presented with back in 2021 was the Pfizer trial. And that company has paid the biggest criminal fine in history for misrepresenting and misleading the public on its products, causing death. So in my opinion, and I know in a lot of other people's opinions, it just seemed that there was all risk and no benefit.
And again, this all goes back to the comment that I just made before in terms of that painting the picture, the manipulation. And this is a manipulation of numbers and data and of what we're putting out there. The 95% relative risk reduction is a beautiful number to put out there, and it makes people feel safe and comforted and cared for. But let's not do the absolute risk reduction, because that's actually the third triplet to the mis and disinformation pile. That's malinformation. That's actually information that's true, that doesn't actually row the boat in the direction that they want to row it. So that's why that one got buried.